is Rory O'Toole.
And my name is Matt Schultz.
And this is How to Be,
the podcast where we discuss ancient wisdom, modern hacks, paperback self-help books, and pithy platitudes,
in the hopes of figuring out the best way to live this one precious and wild life.
As a child, did you feel different from other boys and ghouls? Does the full moon make you weak in the knees? Do you consider practical magic to be the pinnacle of American cinema? If so, join us as we discuss modern witchcraft in a very spooky Halloween episode of How to Be.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, Rory.
I hope our listeners enjoyed our spooky intro song.
Well, it's the spooky season, and we are all about it here at the How to Be podcast.
Absolutely. We love a little spooktacular. We love a spooky song. So for our 2 episodes in October, we'll be talking about things related to spookiness in general, Halloween-y, magical time of year.
Now, one thing that I love about a Halloween special is that, and a Christmas special actually, is that with a Halloween and Christmas special, they don't mind breaking the rules of physics in the universe. The Halloween episode of My So-Called Life, where she has a ghostly vision of that prom at the school.
Yes.
From 50 years ago.
Yes.
He's falls in love with the guy from the old yearbook and he's there. That was really creepy.
Oh man, I need to watch that episode. I totally forgot about it. And then for the Christmas episode, she sees an angel.
Now what do you like? That is breaks my heart. That episode. What do you like better, a Christmas special or a Halloween special?
Oh, for sure, a Halloween special. Because Christmas can run into a little too cheesy for me. Not that I'm above the cheese, but the spook really speaks more to my soul than the cheese.
I think I prefer a Christmas special.
And why is that? You like the warm family love by the fire at the end?
Yeah.
Oh.
I like the little touching moment. Sometimes the very sad moments.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having some sort of a flashback right now. There's a very sad episode of Ally McBeal starring Ricky from My So-Called Life.
Oh.
As a trans woman who makes dresses, but is a sex worker and dies in the episode.
Wow, that's heavy for Ally McBeal.
And I think it was a Christmas episode.
Wow. Yeah. So the tone definitely can get heavy with Christmas episodes.
Yes. It's always they get dark.
It's a very special episode.
Yeah, because they want to show you, let's cut away the bullshit here. What's it all about? It's about love. It's about helping the stranger.
Yeah, they have to find a way to get that choral arrangement of Oh Holy Night into the episode. So it has to be really sad, and meaningful.
But we're going to have a Christmas episode, and that's not
today. Today we're talking, this is a very special spooktacular Halloween episode. And I love the Halloween season, and I feel like I like it the way I like the Christmas season. The season is better than the actual day. Halloween day, a very wonderful day, a very spiritual day. But I know, for people our age, it usually involves wearing a costume and getting drunk. And while I like to, have I'll have a spirit now and then. Okay. I don't like being uncomfortable all night, which is my problems with costumes. And I don't like buying junk that I just have to throw away.
Yeah. And I just don't like dressing up because I feel like it's a little too cloying, a little too desperate, a little too walking up to someone and being like, do you get it? Do you get what I am? I'm a pineapple under the sea.
You would hate a lot of my costumes then when I was a bug in a rug.
Yeah. I can imagine that being cute, but it's like that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Major disdain on your face right now.
But
Let it be
you've
known.
had some great costumes also.
Like what?
Ghostbusters,
Oh yeah, Ghostbusters was fun. And then
1999.
yeah. Well, Sam and his friend were the two people moving a pane of glass, which I know you loved and I loved.
Two men moving a pane of glass across the street during the car chase scene of every
So that I thought was
those
charming.
guys.
Yeah. But really this season for me is about sort of, Sam and I will go around to the houses that are decorated really elaborately. We'll maybe when we lived in the Midwest, we'd do a little apple picking.
Mhm.
I will watch spooky movies. We'll listen to spooky podcasts. Last year we had a spooky baking contest. We had a party at our house where everyone had to bake something that was like Halloween theme.
Oh my God, that was already a year ago.
That was already a year ago. Yeah.
I feel like just yesterday you were telling me
Having
that
a
you
nervous
had
breakdown.
win.
you were you were looking for a polite way to say having a nervous breakdown that I
Yeah.
didn't for the best taste. So it was like you got everyone voted on the best decoration and then best tasting, and we won for best decoration. And I was annoyed that we didn't win for best taste.
Yeah, you felt like best decoration was really a consolation prize.
Yeah, well, Sam did the decoration. I did the baking. So I really, yeah. And I consider myself star baker. So anyway, sorry, you go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say this conversation really stuck out to me because you were like, if I'm not good at baking, what am I doing here? And I'm like, I didn't even know you baked. Here you are talking about it like it's your thing. I've never even heard you mention it before.
Many of our listeners are going to be like, yeah, that is her thing. But you know what? You're vegan. You're not around. I'm not baking you things. We don't work together. I'm not bringing you cupcakes for your birthday.
That's true. You could bake me something on the phone as a, like how people put out food for their ancestors.
Well, that kind of speaks to what we're talking about today. Yeah, I could bake you something and then take a videotape of me eating it in the middle of the night.
Yeah, and that would be like as if I ate it as I watched it. It would be tribute to me in the way that the food for the ancestors is a tribute for them.
Yeah, it's a real win-win. I always picture my parents on Christmas. I know exactly the scene. My mom wrapping thousands of gifts and my dad just sitting in the corner eating the cookies for Santa. That was his job.
It's a good job. It's a good job. Now, I remember in Spanish class, we learned about Day of the Dead. And my teacher told us that people put out food for their ancestors, including their favorite soda, their favorite Fanta flavor. And then in the morning, if the soda's gone flat, that means their spirit drank it.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I did an altar last year for my or was it 2 years ago? For my faithfully departed cat. I did a Day of the Dead altar. It was a wonderful ritual. It felt very magical.
If the wet food you've opened is covered in flies and ants the next morning, that means your cat has visited.
I didn't open the food. I left it in the can. Maybe that was messed up.
How the hell was she supposed to get it? She was meowing all night.
Oh no! Now I actually feel bad. Uh-oh. Because I believe in this stuff so much. Oh, no.
I think she could get it. I think.
Okay.
And
so,
you know what? I think either way, I think she appreciated the gesture.
Okay, thank you. So we today are talking about, we're really dancing around the subject. We've hit on a lot of points, I think, about it, but we're talking about witchcraft and as it relates to magic, and that's our subject of the day. And spirituality, yes. Well, we'll get into all those topics. So Matt, what's your relationship with witchcraft, with magic? How do you feel about it?
Can I tell you a little funny observation I had a few years ago? No one's ever found this as funny as I do.
Let's test it out.
We'll try it out.
having an iPhone, like the invention of the iPhone just made us essentially all into like Harry Potter characters. Like having an iPhone is like having a magic wand
Mm,
in the Harry Potter universe. It's just like, you can summon things with it. It can
hmm.
Lumos, it makes a little light. It does all sorts of spells. I feel like, this is so not the direction we're going to go in with this talk, but I do feel like we live with our technology is more magic than some of the magic the ancients could even imagine, really.
That's a really good point. I think what you're talking about is like magical relativism here.
Yeah.
And I'm not familiar with Harry Potter and it's never really spoken to me. And I think it's because of the different magical sensibility that it has than what I have
Mm,
towards witchery, sorcery, magic, which is that it's a very like sort of academic, scientific approach to magic. It's not
yeah.
mystical, it's not spiritual. And for me, magic needs to be spiritual, mystical, in order for it to be appealing to me.
And in fact, they disparage the spiritual in Harry Potter. Like,
Oh, really?
there's one witch at that entire academy who I'd call spiritual, Professor Trelawney. Okay, she does divination.
Mm,
It's more of a soft science, it's less of a hard science.
hmm.
They mock her all the time because they think she's full of shit. And guess what? She's not full of shit. Every year she predicts that someone's going to kill Harry.
Well, that's a safe prediction.
It is, but sometimes she fully goes into a trance and like predicts
Mm.
that. Basically, what she's always right, but people don't respect her because she's new agey.
Well,
She
that's
is
like
new agey, and this is like an MIT wizarding school.
100%. And it's also like Daphne on Frasier, how she's her, they're like, oh, this woman thinks she's psychic and she's kooky, but really she's right all the time. In front of their very eyes, she's right. Is
She
not
is
the proof in the
doing
pudding?
incredible things. She is making predictions left and right, getting them right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm picturing a volcano of ice spewing, and then Lilith knocks at the door, and they're like, "Oh,
Oh, yeah, but yet they, belittle her talents as, the hysterical beliefs of a simple woman from Manchester.
non-hinged woman." So less into that MIT hardcore chemistry, AP chemistry, um, wizarding. Can you give me like a little bit of a mood board? Can you throw up some images and color
Oh,
schemes on a mood board for your witchical aesthetic and
yeah, my
vibe?
witchical aesthetic and vibe is herbs,
Mm,
candles,
yes.
oils,
Okay.
mortar and pestle, blessed oils, sacred soil. This is my witch kit. I have a chalice.
Yes.
I
Me.
have incense, of course. I'm not like a big fan of incense, but sometimes you need it. Okay.
Mhm.
And when I am working my witchcraft, I'm doing, it's really just calling in the elements. Okay. Blessing
Mhm.
some candles and doing a meditation.
Yeah.
That's my witchcraft. My witchcraft also, I think most people would agree that the epitome of the aesthetic is practical magic.
100%. So, but yeah, I will talk more about practical magic. In fact, I want to live in practical magic. I want to get Pleasantville into that movie and just live there. But unlike Pleasantville, I wouldn't like go around changing it. I would leave it just the way it is. But so it sounds to me, like the mindfulness movement is very much like this movement of taking these spiritual practices from Eastern religions, from Buddhism and Hinduism, stripping them of their theology, stripping them of their cultural relativity, and just making it the practice. But it sounds to me like your witchical practice is sort of having this mindfulness practice, this meditation practice, but bringing back in some theology, some spirit, some animism of the natural world, a little bit of rite and ritual.
Absolutely. For me, I'm not interested in meditation as a form of like reducing my heart rate, or like even,
Mhm.
I mean, great. It's great if it reduces stress as a secondary, secondary product. But for me, meditation is getting in touch with the spiritual because it's like my moments to really connect beyond the physical plane because I really do have a belief in, the other side of the veil.
Yes, the numinous. Evoking
Yeah.
the numinous is very important. And, I like for me also, like, so my witchical practice is embedded into my Judaism.
Mm-hmm.
And, like my spiritual path really started with Wicca in like sixth grade, met this wild Ran Graff type at school who was into witchcraft. And it totally turned my world upside down. I was like, magic is real. They told me it was fake. But then this girl, Lauren, was like, it is real. We can do spells, we can go into the woods, we can do rituals, and it's real. That was mind blowing. So that is what brought me to where I am today.
I think that the world is separated into those who had a Wiccan phase in middle school and those who didn't. It's like, what is it
Yes.
about being 12, 13, 14 and getting really into Wiccan? I remember for my birthday, I got the Teen Witch Kit, which was like a book
Mhm.
of spells with a cool teens on the cover and
Oh,
like
I
a
remember.
little sack of materials like a pentagram, a crystal. Um, and Pen 15 does such a great episode on like Wiccan. It's like unbelievable how true it felt. What is
Yes.
it about that time wanting, I don't know, it's like you're aging out of belief in magic, but you want to exert some sort of control over your life and still feel like spiritual? Is that what it is?
So, okay, this is my this is how I would diagnose it. Okay. I have a whole little theory here. So this is going to be a little spiel.
Give me.
Very little kids. Okay. One, two, three. That's about it. Four, maybe. Okay. Not interested in magic, not interested in the supernatural. They're so new in this world. There are these fresh souls in the world that they're really just like psyched about what is. They don't need it to be enchanted or sort of developed. So they're interested in trucks. They're interested in mommies and babies and kitchens and tools, all these like kids toys for that age are like just about like animals, all real things. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get a little older and we start being interested in magic and sort of the fantastic, but we're not like old enough to realize fully that it's not real. We believe in Santa Claus, we believe in God in this very like earnest full way where we talk to God and just pour our hearts out, really feel listened to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then the world becomes disenchanted around 6, 7, 8. And everything, it's so dreary. It's oh so dreary. And we realize that all of that shit was fake. And now we're just left with the trucks and the toys and the mommies and the babies, but they no longer excite us like they used to.
Mm-hmm.
Then you meet a girl like Lauren, and she takes you to that occult section of the bookstore. And it's not for kids, it's for grown-ups. It's this is not kid stuff. This is the world re-enchants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's very astute, a very, very astute observation. And then you sort of grow out of it because you realize Wiccan is for like dorky hippies. And then
Yeah.
hopefully you come back to your spiritual path in your late teens, 20s. But for me, it was just a little different, I think, because I grew up in such a magical home. Like it was always just sort of ubiquitous. Like my mom is a very spiritual person, a very witchy person, an intuitive person, reads tarot cards, all that stuff. And then also being raised Catholic, going to Catholic school, having grandparents who were very literal, from Ireland, like religion was very present for them in every area of their life. Catholicism is a magical religion. There's so much in the Bible, and what Jesus does is he's just doing spells. He's turning water into wine. He's walking on water. He's exorcising people. So when you grow up with that sort of imagery, especially when you're younger, I think it sort of like implanted in me. Like it's almost even hard for me to question it
Yeah.
and think
It's
logically about it.
very fundamental for
It's
you.
very fundamental. Magic is fundamental.
Yeah, and it was not a part of my home life. We lived in a very Enlightenment era,
Oh, okay. Okay.
post-Enlightenment home, and I had to re-enchant it all on my own.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I went to Catholic school where we were taught by nuns. Like we went to church every week. Like I went to a real seriously, not, it wasn't a sanitized Catholic school,
Yes. Yeah, and it's so interesting now that I'm in Jerusalem, like just being in the present, like just like I mentioned to you the other day, like walking past like a nun of some order that I've never seen this habit before. It's very black, it's very severe. The headpiece looks hard to touch. Like it's sculptural.
She does not support Vatican II.
She does not support. Yeah, I think she might be from like an Orthodox church, maybe. And there she is, squeezing tomatoes, buying her groceries. Like, there's, Jerusalem is it's very crowded on both sides of the veil. Let me say that. On the spiritual side is very crowded with energies and spirits and religions, but the earthly side is also very crowded with traffic, honking horns, politics, strife. So it's actually, it's just kind of an overload of reality on every sort of spiritual plane.
Well, now you are a very spiritual person. How do you think you were talking about it before? You talked about your initiation into Wicca as the beginning, but how is it now, or what's your journey been like with religion and magic?
So there's a section of the Jewish prayer book that you're supposed to recite every day, where you read the sections of the Torah that deal with the daily temple offerings, the eternal flame, the incense, the 2 sheep that were sacrificed every day. And we don't have a temple anymore, but it's believed that by reciting this, it is as if you are offering them. So and when I was watching one of these witch YouTube videos I sent to you, she was talking about building an altar, and she goes, the altar is really just a symbol because you are the altar. You are the meeting place of heaven and earth. And when I'm reading those portions about the incense offering and the blood of the offering splattered on the altar, I feel I feel like I am the meeting place of heaven and earth. I feel like it, so that feels very like witchy to me. I'm building this like spiritual inner dimension of altar. And some people, it's not a very popular part of the prayer book, because people are like, I'm not into animal sacrifices. That's mean. And I'm like, no, this is actually like the least rational and therefore the most enchanting part of Judaism. And like, I wouldn't want to restart it, obviously. But
Right.
I'm very into learning about it, chanting it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that those are the parts of Catholicism that I still really appreciate and am drawn to are the magical components. Like when a priest is changing, he literally changes bread into flesh and wine into blood in front of our eyes. That's the like a fundamental belief of Catholicism versus Protestantism, is that we are transforming bread into body and then we are all eating it. Like, I love how archaic and, ritualistic that is. It makes me feel so close to like my ancestors.
Yes. I wonder if he could do it backwards, turn flesh into bread.
Should we ask a priest?
Yeah, can you turn me into bread?
Well, I know that like the leftover wine, you have to pour down a special drain. Or the priest has to drink all of it, but if there's too much for him to drink, if you don't have like a boozy little priest, there's like a special drain that goes straight into the earth that you have to pour it out.
Oh,
yeah,
that's cool.
But anyway, yeah, like, so yeah, you and I are into magic in that way. And I would say I identify as a witch. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I don't identify as a witch, but my spiritual life and my religious outlook is indelibly shaped by that fertile period of teenage Wicca, or tweenage Wicca, really. We stopped using the word tween. Did we talk about that?
I still use it.
I feel like tween dropped out of the society's vocab.
Maybe you're just not talking about tweens or around tweens that much.
Was I ever, though?
When you were a tween.
See, I feel like they weren't talking about tweens when I was a tween.
You feel like they weren't?
I feel like that we didn't have that vocab.
No, we did. Like, it was on the cover of Time magazine when I was 12. It was like, this is a tween. And it was like a girl wearing like headphones, like girl my age wearing headphones and like, I don't know, karma bracelets and with like a disc man. And I felt so seen. I think the tween years are dare I say, more emotionally charged than even the teen years. What, 11 to 13?
Yeah, and Pen 15 was right to focus on them.
Yeah.
Too many people focus on high school.
I totally agree. But it's the tragedy of middle school. Sometimes it's hard to watch.
So I want to talk a little bit about the moon.
All of us as humans, I think it's a truly human experience to be drawn toward the majesty of the moon.
So let me tell you this. In the Torah, it says that God created the moon to be like a calendar, basically, for our dates and our holidays. And the sort of pagan in me
feels reductive.
Like yes.
Feels a little reductive. Yeah.
100% feels reductive. Like, can't the moon be just for itself, for herself?
Mm-hmm.
But
don't misgender the moon, please. A great feminine symbol.
The great feminine symbol. Recently, though, I've been thinking that it's actually really cool that we have a giant clock in the sky that marks these chapters of months, because months, I think the calendar, the calendrical aspect of the moon is very rich.
Very rich.
Witch.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, isn't it just like a moon, a woman, to keep time like that, to keep a calendar like that?
Yes. To be born, being born, ascending, withering, dying, disappearing, born, like, it's very beautiful. And in Judaism, when it's a new moon, like when there's a new month, you know, there's this whole special ritual where you go out and you bless the new moon. And you're supposed to leap 3 times trying to reach it, sort of.
Oh, that's nice.
And I was talking to my friend Sophia today, who's a practicing witch. I was asking her what it's all about for her. And she kind of said that a lot of what it comes down to is setting intentions. And sussing out the vibe of the natural world and the universe, like feeling what energies are flowing, which energies are stopped up, and sort of being able to deploy your intentions skillfully because you've been paying attention.
I absolutely agree with that. And I would love to talk about like intention setting because I have a sort of a fraught relationship with, I guess, manifesting,
Oh yeah.
like, and lately, especially, I think when I was younger, I definitely wanted to use meditation and witchcraft as a form of manifesting and sort of in a very like actual things that I wanted to appear in my life and like things to happen, a boyfriend, middle school, obviously,
Mhm.
being taller,
Yeah.
things like that. Like those were the things, like, getting back at someone that was mean to me. That sort of thing. And then as I got older, my wishes or my manifesting became a little bit more mature, but it was still there. And lately I have not been into that at all. I have not been into, going into a meditation and asking for literal things in my life because I am starting to realize that that is just sort of a shallow form of trying to control your life, which, as we
Mhm.
have talked about on the podcast, like I'm really trying to relinquish control in my life and like go more with the flow of what the universe and the way my life is just going to unfold. Does that make sense?
It does. And that witch in those YouTube videos I sent you, she was talking about never overscript, never overscript a spell, which I
Mm.
love. Don't say, I want a Corvette. Say, I want an easier time getting where I need to go.
That
I
is
just want to get where I need to go.
I didn't watch that video. Did you send that video to me?
I sent you one or two of her
Okay.
videos, but
But
I watched a billion of them.
that is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, instead of focusing on these, like the product, focusing on the feeling, like trying to cultivate a point of view or a feeling within myself when I engage in like my
Mm-hmm.
spiritual life. So, like, focusing on self love instead of like, looking better, let's say,
Yes. Which
or
you think will bring you self-love. No, just
exactly,
focus, get to the core of the thing and let the goddess
exactly.
do a little bit of the work for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Focusing on feeling financial secure, so
Yeah.
financially secure instead of being like, I need a raise, I need a raise, I need a raise, I need a raise, because that is like, to me, the antithesis of working with the universe and like responding
Yes.
to the energies.
Yes. 100%. Because it may not come in the form of a raise. It may come in the form of noticing that you are secure.
It may come in
And
that
that
form.
you can
Yeah.
take a breath. Or it may come in the form
A dead
of
relative who I inherit, a mansion in whatever town Practical Magic takes place in.
100%. Yes, the goddess will strike down that
That,
relative.
come on, that old lady, she doesn't need it anymore. She's lived there long
Doesn't it?
enough. It's time for Rory's turn.
It's Rory's turn, people. Coming to town. She's opening a cosmetic shop.
I'm opening a lotion shop called Herb and Witch.
Is that what their store was called?
No, that's the name of my dream store.
Oh,
To open a store in a city, a witchy store in the city, and it's called Herb and Witch.
Herb and
Like
Witch.
Urban Witch, but Herb and Witch.
Oh,
Do
I
you like
get
it?
it.
Or is it embarrassing to you, like a clever Halloween costume?
No, no. I think it's great. The lumbar yard from Seinfeld. From Seinfeld.
You've been watching a lot of Seinfeld.
I
Not
really
a
have.
spiritual show.
No.
No
Takes
spiritualism in
place
Seinfeld.
takes place in a godless universe.
Yeah.
Every show has a theology, an implicit theology.
Hmm.
My So-Called Life, there's God in that world.
Yeah, there is.
Peanuts by Charles Schulz, a Christian universe.
Sex in the City, no God.
Godless, horizontal humans among humans. There's no nature either. Like there's no like rainforest out there in that world. It doesn't exist there.
I guess, like, can we back up a little bit? What is a witch? I think, is it a witch just whatever you want it to be?
Okay, so what is a witch? A witch is this is how I think about the question.
Mm-hmm.
I think of the witch as someone who has turned their back on the central theses of American religion. And
Interesting.
yeah, like now, by which I don't mean the theology
Uh-huh.
or the morality.
Uh-huh.
Like, I actually think a witch can have a very Christian or Jewish theology or, like any sort of American theology. But I think that if I were to lay out what I think those central theses are,
Mm-hmm.
religion is something that happens one day a week in a church. Religion is something that happens in your heart and in your brain. You pray up and your pray floats into heaven. Okay. Religion is very fits in with our modern world. It's very disconnected from nature. It doesn't happen outside.
Mm-hmm.
Religion is opposed to like sexuality and
Mm-hmm.
feminism and queerness. So I think the witch is someone who sees those trends in American religion and a
Mm-hmm.
few others and says, I'm going to do things, I'm going to express my spiritual life in the exact opposite way. I'm going to go out into the woods at night.
I've never done that and identify as a witch, but I like it. You can go out to the woods at night.
I'm going to my religion's going to be nature based. It's going to be nocturnal. It's going to be goddess based. It's going to have textures and senses, rocks and props and different things.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be individual rather than formalized, spontaneous
Yes.
rather than scripted.
Yes. Well, yes, all these things are why I prefer the term witch and, that form versus Wiccan. I hate Wiccan, which was through our research discovered was created by a man in Britain in the 1940s, and is very, very much so in the style of what we recognize as religion, organized religion.
Yes.
Not into that.
Yes. I mean, it's mystical, it's esoteric, but it's still very formalized.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's this other element to what witchcraft is, other than what I just said about sort of identifying those trends in American religion and going in a different direction,
Mm-hmm.
which is that, unlike religion, the premise of religion is very simple. It's like, we're going to do what God wants us to do. We're going to pray to him and we're going to try and like follow his rules for us.
Mm-hmm.
Witchcraft has much more diverse projects.
Yeah, you have to be someone who is able to wear many hats.
Yeah, like numerology, astrology. Like,
yeah.
It's not all about one thing. It's like there's all these little pockets of spiritual hobbies, spiritual crafts.
Yeah, like you can be a kitchen witch, you can be an alchemist, you can be into tarot, you can be into channeling, and they all fall within like the major large category of witchiness.
Yes. So it's much more eclectic in that way. Which I think is a big draw for people because people want to walk different paths with these things. Not everyone wants to do the contemplative, meditative path. Some people want to be communing with spirits with a Ouija board. In Judaism, it's forbidden to consult with dead spirits.
Well, I like that because it denotes a belief.
Oh, 100%. And actually, they do it in the Bible. Someone breaks this law and does communicate with the dead via the witch of Endor.
Oh.
She summons the dead. Now, Witch of Endor is a very interesting character, but I don't really know much about her. But I actually take that seriously. Like um, there's certain things that perhaps like I think a lot of like Orthodox rabbis would say like you can't be using tarot cards, you can't be
Mm-hmm.
yada yada. I don't take that so seriously because that I don't like my personal belief about tarot cards. I don't see the problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do take it seriously that like, okay, my particular spiritual path of Judaism tells me that I'm actually supposed to respect that boundary between the worlds,
Okay.
to acknowledge it and to live here.
Oh,
Not
see, I want to commune with the dead. I like a little necromancy.
and that's great. I think spiritual paths are like each one it sort of makes sense within itself.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Um, where did the idea of a witch come from? We've talked about this before.
Yes, and we've had an interesting disagreement
Yes.
about the portrayal of witches in media.
Yeah. So why don't you lay it out? Because I was thinking about this conversation, and I might be coming to your side. Let's see. Let's see.
Do you remember what the media was that prompted it?
Well, I don't remember it being a conversation about media so much as you saying that like a witch is a new term because witches never really existed.
Yeah,
Because
I think
so
it's rooted in a TV show. I'm sorry.
it was rooted in a TV show. That part I don't remember, but so essentially, like in all parts of the world, okay, there have been, in the United Kingdom, in Egypt, in Greece, in the Caribbean, there have been sort of like practitioners of alchemy, of herbalists, of people who commune with the other side. In the UK, it was called it was cunning folk, for example, and they were often women who lived on the outskirts of town and sort of in after Christianity came to some of these places, they were very much so more connected and still connected to the pagan rituals or the indigenous religions and rituals um, of their ancestors, and so they still practiced that. And we know how that goes in the UK and America. Not even the UK, all of Europe and America. A lot of them were burned for being witches. But to your point, those people wouldn't identify as a witch necessarily at the time. In fact, they even said, "I'm not a witch."
Yeah, Goody Proctor. These were good Christian women. But yeah, so I think there was some sort of show, and you were saying like, I don't like the portrayal of witches
Oh,
this way.
this
And
is
I
what
was
it
like,
is. I don't like
don't
the
portray witches.
portrayal. I don't like the portrayal of witches as communing with Satan. We might have
Yes,
been talking. I don't remember what we were talking about. Was it The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina?
I think so. I think it was.
A show that is just not worth watching.
But yeah, so you were like, I think that it besmirches witches, and I was like, you can't besmirch
A thing that never was.
a thing that never was. And you were like, no, witches were and are a thing that was. So it's kind of like, who has a right? I think what our little disagreement there boiled down to was like, who has a right to claim this term? Is it sort of part of the monster industry along with like ghosts and Frankensteins? Or is it part of the persecuted minority community along with like Jews and Roma, like of which, there's like overlap with both. Like Jews and Roma were both like often accused of like either witchcraft or like in the case of Jews, like Satanism.
Yeah, I think it's like, okay, so I have a couple thoughts on that. I think you're right. And almost like it would be very confusing for some of these women who were burned at the stake for, making herbal remedies and, maybe cursing your neighbor for stealing your cow, they wouldn't like being called a witch by like me, this little millennial with my iPhone. They'd be like, nah, but we've sort of, people today have sort of like reclaimed that term. Is that like a stupid thing to say? Like, we're like, yeah, we are witches.
Yes. Actually, this reminds me of something from The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, where she needs to perform this incredibly powerful spell, and she needs to invoke all these witches of the past in order to like summon their energy. So a lot of them are like classic mythological witches. Morgan, does that name ring a bell?
No.
Different witches from sort of mythological sources. But then she starts calling in real women from history. Joan of Arc, Tituba.
She doesn't think she's a witch.
Yeah, like, and I felt also like, I know that Tituba was like a practitioner of some sort of magical religious pathway, but she certainly was not aligned with this like Satan cult of the Sabrina universe.
Yeah.
So I thought it was, even though like Sabrina's witch positive, I thought it was problematic.
We have witch positive. The thing that bothers me is like conflating herbalism and alchemy and, necromancy with worshiping the devil. I don't like that. Because as I was telling you, Matt, what idiot would worship the devil? I have a huge problem with the logic of worshiping the devil. What is the devil going to give you? Maybe something in the beginning, but lest we learn from Faust that in the end,
written by
Goethe. No, Faust.
Goethe.
Faust wrote Faust.
Goethe.
And then Goethe wrote a version of Faust.
Yeah,
Goethe. I just learned how to spell and say Goethe.
Goethe. Yeah.
Like the devil is like, I don't understand. Like, he's a liar, dude. Like, why would you trust him?
Yeah, like the thing is, okay, so like you take someone like Trump, and it's like we hate Trump, we think he's bad. But the people who follow him like him and think he's good. So that's usually how things play out in this world. Some people think the person's good, some people think the person's bad. It's the devil just is badness.
Yeah, exactly. Why would you align with badness unless you're just like a contrarian by nature?
Yeah, just so you can, well, I guess, he delivers, and God doesn't deliver.
Dude, God does not deliver. You gotta give the devil that.
And something that like always annoys me in horror movies that are like Catholic, that have like a Catholic theology. I'm like, where's God? Like, the devil seems so powerful in those movies. He's moving, he's breaking things, he's crawling around. Can God shine a beam of light in and
it's like interesting.
Work this out?
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, when I was doing research on witches, I was like learning about Martin Luther's opinion of witches, which he didn't like witches, but he thought that they were a part of God's plan because God's so powerful, he allows them to be on earth. And also the devil is God's servant, according to him too. Was like, God's so powerful, he could abolish the devil.
Well, I would hope so, because I'm often confused about the devil's role.
Is there a devil in Judaism?
Barely. Like,
okay.
The Hasatan, the Satan, which is the word for Satan, which in Hebrew means the accuser, present very lightly in the book of Job.
Oh yeah.
But he's certainly not the devil in any recognizable way. He's not connected to hell.
Yeah, I actually have to say that I like the idea of devils and demons. Devils, just one devil, but demons, devil, whatever. Because I feel like it explains the human experience before we had this idea of like psychology. Like it really like it articulates what it feels like to be suffering from anxiety, depression, OCD, bipolar disorder. It's like something is literally something, a malevolent force is taking over your body, and it feels spiritual.
100%. And when I was, really going through some mental health stuff, I did read the book of Job, and
Me too.
the interplay with the devil, the being able to conceptualize my mental strife as the accuser, this sort of foreign spirit sitting on my shoulder, accusing me, casting aspersions upon me, was helpful. Dare I say it? It was helpful. It helped me place it all in a frame.
Yeah, I think that, we're really just like entering an enlightenment period for, mental health. And even as recent as the, 70s, 80s, 90s, like there was like not much you could do. I mean, I'm talking about like of the last century too, like not even to speak of 1450, there's not much that you could do if you were like afflicted with these emotional or mental problems. So having a lens to look at it through, I think, again, could be really, really helpful. And also because it takes it's like, I can see why it would be really comforting to feel like you are being overpowered by something versus feeling like it's your fault.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. There's a great episode of The Moth about that.
Oh.
About conceiving of depression as a demon. But I won't go into that. What I do want to talk about, though, which I just sort of reminded myself of this by saying, like, it put it all in a frame, okay?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
One of these witch YouTube videos I watched was about casting circles.
Oh, yeah. I have a little circle when I do my witch stuff. Calling in the 4 elements,
Yeah. Circles. I like it. I like the idea of... So Sophia said this to me, witch friend, that witchcraft is all about putting things in a circle, making frames for things, making a frame for an intention, a frame. And that seems like psychologically, I watched a home decor tip video once recently. It was about like corral things. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
You've got a bunch of stuff on like your mantle. Put a little plate under those 3 candles and that little elephant statuette you've got. And now it doesn't look like clutter. It looks like a little vignette.
Mm-hmm.
So you've changed the energy field
Mm-hmm.
somehow. You've locked it in. You've also done a little bit of alchemy. You've made 4 things into one little universe.
I like
Very
that.
intriguing to me.
Witchcraft,
the art of encircling.
Yeah, because when you put your little circle around you when you're doing your spell, it's like you're putting yourself into like a spiritual realm. You're leaving the physical realm. You're creating a spiritual realm around you. And what's surrounding you are, the 4 elements. I call in my team sometimes, my team or like my
love team.
Your team is your spirit guides. Okay. And they can be anyone in my team is anyone from certain archangels to dead grandparents to dead animals. And they are coming around they encircle you too. Like this is it. Like you're in a spiritual place right now. You're on the other side of the veil.
Are any of my team with you?
You need to recall. Sometimes when Matt and I are going through a bad place, or we need some help with something, like we'll send a team member over. Like, if Matt needs to relax, like I'll send Orange Cat, my dead cat, over there because no one knew how to relax like Orange Cat,
Yeah, but we sometimes forget to recall. So let's everyone shift back.
Shift back. I'm gonna need
Everyone
everyone.
back to your original team. Okay. Yeah, I'm always because like I don't. It's like Mao. Did I send you Mao?
You could have sent me Mao for some number of reasons. Yeah.
Yeah. So everyone come back. We'll send you where you need to go. When I love the idea of having a team.
It's really important to me when I like am feeling down.
It gives me comfort. And there is this belief of guardian angels in Judaism
Yeah.
that everything has. Every blade of grass has a guardian angel
Oh, that's so sweet.
standing over it saying, grow, grow.
I noticed a lot of the psychics we see, and we're going to be talking about psychics in our next episode, but they use a lot of angel imagery as well.
Yes.
Like I used to have a fear of flying, and the psychic told me to picture 6 angels on each wing when we take off and land.
Holding it up.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, and I think that this is a spiritualization of a spiritual way of talking about something that's very real, which is that it's kind of magical how a plane is held up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, you were kind of saying that about the iPhone, right?
Yes.
It's magical that we can have all that information at our fingertips.
Yeah, that I can talk into a piece of plastic and you hear it somewhere else. That's insane. It never stops being insane.
Yeah, that's the wonder of the world. That's feeling small when you stand beside the ocean.
Yes. Talking into a ball of plastic. I'm in Jerusalem right now, and you can hear me. That's witchcraft. We are alchemists on this planet. Humans are alchemists. We're transformers.
They are. Mm-hmm.
We're witches. We are energy workers.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's like, obviously everyone gets to live their life and they choose their choice, but to not believe in anything besides what is here and now, like on this physical plane just feels like a way less interesting life to me.
100%. And can I tell you something? I actually don't think I'm a very spiritual person.
Okay, you're confessing right now?
Yeah, I'm a spiritual person that I have a deep spiritual practice and religious beliefs, but I am not on the cusp of worlds in the way that you are.
Am I I know everyone thinks I'm on the cusp of worlds.
I think a ghost could literally be licking my ear right now and twisting my bleep. We don't have to. That makes it sound worse. I was gonna say nipple. Like a ghost could be sexually assaulting me and I wouldn't notice.
That's for the best.
Whereas I think if a ghost walked through the room, you would get a little chill.
A little chill. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's always, as we know from all the ghost shows we watch, right? It's always in the household. The animal notices first, the children second, the mother third, and then the man in the household, the cis man in the household, that man, again, has to be sexually assaulted by a succubus before he's gonna consult,
Oh my god, and that happened once.
Yeah, I'm literally referring to that episode.
Yeah. So and then we're supposed to extra believe it because he's and I don't believe in this stuff.
Exactly. He gives it the seal of approval. I mean, don't even get me started on, obviously the whole witch hunts are deeply sexist. Do I need to say that?
When you wake up with a succubus elbow deep in your bleep, then you start going, something's up with this house. The cat's yeah, I know. Cats, I don't even think distinguish between a ghost and a non-ghost. It's all just people in the room.
I mean, that's what my mom always says when your cat's looking at something really suddenly, that's because there's just a ghost over there.
100%. Mao used to have a full on picture the party from breakfast at Tiffany's, a like really crowded party in the small apartment. Like that's what it sounded like was going on outside my door with Mao at night. Bouncing off the walls, interacting with so many different entities. It sounded like a real scene out there. It's like, who are you interacting with? It's yourself? It's so confusing.
Yeah. Well, you said a great thing when we were in college. Ghosts are either everywhere or nowhere.
Exactly. And that's a problem with ghosts, is that they are so often in like Victorian women in a nightie, like really they should be everything and
Exactly.
everyone.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, they're Victorian or they're the 1920s. I think those are the two eras that produced a lot of ghosts. What was going on in the world spiritually at the time that these people got trapped
Yeah.
on this side of the veil, unable to
Yeah.
pass over?
Yeah, like I've never seen like an 80s ghost representation. Like, someone named Michelle, the ghost of Michelle.
Do you think in the future, like in like 2080, they'll be like, oh yeah, like a ghost from 100 years ago, 1980 came. She had crimped hair. She was wearing leg warmers, classic ghost attire.
Yeah. Yeah, or like the millennial ghosts. She was singing a Disney song. The tale of the Disney adults.
Yeah, well, I could talk all day about magic, and witchery. So maybe we'll do a part 2 one day. We definitely need to do like a multi-part episode on manifesting and the secret.
Yes.
So stay tuned for that, everyone.
So much to say.
So much.
Now, is this how to be? I think we know what we're gonna say here.
Oh yeah, it's definitely how to be. It gives your life so much more depth, so much more whimsy, so much more fun. Not everything in your life needs to be so serious. So
Yes.
here and touchable. Explore the ineffable. I'm
going to give a caveat with mine. Okay. I'm training to be a rabbi. I cannot be endorsing idolatry or paganism. So serve only God. God is one, and his name is one. However, serve him with your heart, your mind, your soul, your body. Find him in nature. Find him in ritual and rite. Find him in daytime and in nighttime. And forgive me for using male pronouns for God.
You're forgiven.
Regressive.
You're forgiven. The genderless God. The genderless God, and for me, you don't have to believe in one God. You can believe in multiple.
Don't listen to her.
She's a witch. Okay, bye, Matt.
Bye, Roar.